welcome back to Both Sides of the Fence. This is kind of a two-parter.
Yeah.
We had you guys on our last episode. So we have Derek's mom and dad with us. I do hope you tuned into the last episode. It was very emotional. I thank you again for sharing your story with us. So if you haven't seen it, please do go back to the last episode and check that out.
Yeah.
But we're moving on to another point in Derek's life that I think that a lot of our viewers are going to be very interested in hearing, and I do think it could also possibly help them as well.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a really important story to tell. Derek and I talk all the time. We've mentioned it on this show before.
Yes.
I don't even see Derek as gay. He's just my Derek. Like it's not. It'd be like me walking into a room and being like, "Hey, I'm Jen. I'm heterosexual."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it just does not
It's just
happen.
such a small part of who I am now. Yeah.
However, it is part of who Derek is.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's a process with that. My brother came out to me, and we've talked through that kind of experience and what that was like for our family. And I think it's different for every family because every family comes from different backgrounds, different ideas, different communities. And so I really want to start by having you tell me a little bit about what it was like for you when Derek came out. First, tell me, how did he do it? Or maybe Derek can tell us how he did it.
Do you want me to go, or do you want me to start, or do you want? I'll start. Okay, and then you can say your version, your dad's version. So, Mom actually reminded me that I actually came out twice to my parents. The first time,
age-wise, what was the first time for you?
I don't
15. It was before Amber.
I think you were you like 12, 13? I don't think you were that old, were you?
It was in the we were in the dining room.
Since we had on
Butler at and I said that was the first time I'd never seen an anger in my dad that way, and let me be precise. He didn't.
Before we go.
So, okay, let me step back for just a couple minutes real quick, and I'll do this fast. Everybody has to keep in mind that going into the first time that I came out was after being in facility, 2 different facilities twice. My parents at that point, they know now that I had other things that had happened to me in these facilities as well. Great support, but also more touching, inappropriate interaction with counselors. But because of my behaviors and lying at the time being a big thing that I used for part of my issues, my parents struggled to believe a lot of things that I would say to them. Eventually, I stopped saying. Some were lies, but some were truth.
Sure.
But and because of that, it was. I don't know how to explain. I'm trying to miss the word. I'll skip that part. But moving ahead, when I came out to my dad and my mom, there was so much going on aside from me being gay, right? There was trauma issues in my life. I was having habits of stealing from stores. I was acting out a lot that again stemmed from the molestation and all of that. So when I came out mixed with, I have to set the scene because I don't remember all of it, to be honest. I remember everything the second time I came out, but I just remember seeing like an anger in my dad that I'd never seen before. He didn't not put his hands on me. He didn't put his hands on anybody else in the room. I had never been scared of my dad ever. And in that moment I was, and that's not to hurt his feelings because I know now as I've gotten older, that's not what he was meaning. There was so much behind that: fear, misunderstanding, uneducated.
And emotion over what you had been doing and causing the family, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot in there.
In that moment, we dealt with Leslie a little bit. And why I'm not jumping on it the first time as much is because it was a pretty short blip. It was not that long the first time. And what I want to say is what got me through that is because I actually think Leslie knew. Actually, well, now I know that she knew.
For our listeners who don't know who
Again, sorry, Leslie. Thank you. Leslie was at the time my counselor that I had, and she was an in-home counselor. She was by far my favorite. She was absolutely incredible. I would. She is just, there's no other words to explain that individual. She was a God's angel for me. And I think for her at that time, she is also gay. That was not privy to me. But in the time that we were living, she was an adult, I was a child. She understood what I was to face. I think she was trying to get my parents to try and figure out of accepting it, but them accepting it on their own without it kind of let them make that own decision. They should do that.
Something that would be appropriate.
While trying to keep me from thinking that part of me is wrong. But how does Leslie teach that as a child while following the laws and rules of her being a counselor?
So did you just walk into a room and tell your parents? Like, how did
That's the part, honestly, I don't remember. That's where I kind of need your guys' help. I just remember I pretty much shortly thereafter, it was not a discussion. But what I want to say in that is that's when the real turmoil started with my brother. With my parents didn't realize. Because my brother was like the golden child, TJ was a terrorizer to me. I mean, horrible. And it was always behind scenes. And then my brother would act as if he is trying to do nothing but love and support his brother, and be there as a beacon for him. And he was, and I told you and Dad this, I truly felt in that point, I had another terror in my life trying to destroy me. He was horrible to me.
Was he doing that because of you coming out?
Absolutely. I truly believe that something in my brother had a pure hate for the fact that I was gay. And that's a whole nother topic, and I don't want to waste it. No offense on my brother. But with that being said, it was just more compacted of me being a problem at that point.
Do you think, playing the devil's advocate?
Yes.
Because I don't know this.
No, please.
Was any of TJ's behavior caused because what you had been through, there was a major focus on Derek, as there should have been, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you think subconsciously that played into, because
it could have.
Do you understand what I mean? That
it could have.
Wasn't a focus or concentration on the other children. I know you loved them all, but when you're going through something like that as parents, with your child, you have a mega focus on the child that's been sexually.
So I will say this. Prior to knowing the person that my brother was going to grow into, we now know that who he become is the character of a person. I would 100% say that probably had a huge part to do with it in the moment.
Just in case there are parents that have who's been abused and they have other children that are reacting to that.
Now, what I will say on the flip side, TJ's journey, his walk, his teen life, his admiration for my parents gave him, my sister, putting him up on a beacon, the community, the family, it was an enragement to me because the whole time people didn't really know who my brother was. And that's where my rage came in. So instead of necessarily reacting towards him, I actually took it out once again on them. Right? Because I was seeing them feed him with positivity, light, and love. I'm the problem child, and now the person that you're loving on is terrorizing me. And if I come to you, you're definitely not going to believe me, which I'm not blaming you for because of my behavior problem. But you know what I mean? I just felt like I was once again in yet another deep, dark black hole. And this time, I'm now angry. I wasn't a kid anymore, so now I have more emotions. I have more insight. So now I'm reacting to that so much more.
And what was it like for yourself that first?
Oh, denial.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was denial. Although I knew, as a mother, I knew
deep,
that he was going to be gay. And because, after all that happened, he changed. Like I said in the other episode, that I had to mourn that Derek.
Sure.
And he changed. He became wanting to play with dolls. He wanted to do his sister's hair, do dress up with, Savannah, like all the girl stuff.
Sure.
He wanted to do that.
And
we
at the
were-
time, you felt that was very much because of what Chris had done to me.
100%.
Plus, people had told you that, doctors, psychologists, that it was prone to, yes.
100%. I felt that was the direct result of Chris, and him feeling that he was gay was, no, you're not. Like initially it was like, no, you're not, you're just saying that because of Chris to you.
Yeah.
Because it was easy whenever it came to that until there was acceptance to blame Chris.
I can see that.
That Chris was the root of everything.
Yeah.
And if Chris wouldn't have did what he did,
everything would be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the belief that I had. So as a parent, from my feeling on it, one of the worst things that we did was make him repress that. That no, you're not. You're a guy. Have you checked between your legs? And like you like women, and because my house was filled with testosterone.
Sure,
it's true.
Filled with it. With his brother. I mean, his brother was the all-star, wrestler for Butler. He was class president. He was, this, that.
My sister was even more in the sports manager. Yeah. Oh, truly, very much so. Yeah. And worked hard. I mean, I'm not saying my parents just poured into him and he was lazy. He definitely put his time into that All-American boy.
Sure.
Yes.
He had an extremely good work ethic.
Yes.
And I would imagine he still does.
Mm-hmm.
But he was good looking. He had the girls.
Well, both your boys are.
Yeah. Well,
thank you.
Of course.
I grew into my good looks, though. I will say I was a nerdy looking boy, though. But dude,
medication.
Yes, there was all the medication for my stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so he was the golden child. He was the A student. He was the perfect kid.
Which probably really juxtaposed who Derek was at that point and what he was going through even more.
Yes, absolutely, because he was the bad kid.
Yeah.
He was Derek,
It was
what
terror.
are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, why are you doing that? And
the question, what you just said, why? The number one question as I've gotten older and we've had all these conversations is my parents never knew the why. So I guess for them, it just turned into frustration, right? Because they really didn't know the why and I didn't know how to tell them or explain to them.
And what was it like for yourself for that first time? I mean, obviously.
For you, it's completely different, I feel, Dad, because your lifestyle, your background, I feel.
My background was, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And when it came out.
And that's the majority, honestly, of the family I grew up.
Yes. He was raised in that action. I mean, and not just that, but even, racism was fused through family dynamics with him. It wasn't just that.
Sure.
Yeah, I came from, like I said a couple of times, from a different background. And I had a hard time understanding Derek because, yes, he was sexually abused.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at him like, dude, I was abused too. I was beat to death.
And I'm not gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was physical abuse with him. Not
Yeah.
sexual,
But Bill,
still.
I know, but you're just saying trauma.
Yeah.
and-
But that's how he's dealing with it. And his way as a father back then was, you're strong. Men don't, because of how he was raised. You don't cry, you're not weak. Emotion isn't a gift, it's weakness. You can't be
I
that.
always looked at it as, and it's like, okay, this was bad. Move on. What are you going to do? I mean, I get angry. I watch a TV show and someone says, well, I did that because it was done to me. No, you did that because you wanted to.
Correct.
Okay?
We are very similar.
Yeah.
Your dad and I are very similar.
Yeah.
I went to first grade with a broken wrist and I lied. You know why I lied? Because I knew the ass whooping was going to get worse if I go home.
Yeah.
So don't sit there and tell me you were acting this way because what's happened to you. That's your choice to act this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we didn't.
I didn't know how to handle it. I thought it was another stunt that he was pulling.
Sure. And so he attempted to come out and
like for attention. Like he wanted to get attention.
Yeah. And that was part of it. I do remember that being part of things because what I do remember is there was an emergency call with Leslie when I came out the first time. And I don't know if you guys remember that. And I remember she came in the room and that you guys were sitting in the living room and I was not in there. And Dad was just, I remember at one point he was like raging just out loud, not about the gate, just everything. And it was more about, this isn't even real, Leslie. And Leslie was trying, and even then at that moment, she understood. That's why she was trying to play the both sides. But I knew in that moment she was thinking, I need to try and get Gail and Billy to understand this time. I know it's hard, but this time, this isn't attention, guys, you know? But when every other time was me trying, because I was craving for attention, I was craving for something, and I just didn't know how to ask for it. I could see now looking back why my parents thought in that moment that it was an attention thing mixed with
Taking everything
yes,
into account.
with everything else that he said, where he came from, growth, my mom, still a little bit more understanding, but I also know the role she needed to play. And listen, I say this because I know that people put a lot of shame out there on mothers that show love and support to their spouse, their husbands, right? And because you're maternal, you're supposed to always, but I have to tell you, as me being me, I think if I can help people out there by saying it's not that easy. Now looking out that you're talking about somebody that you've married that brings you joy, that you're spending the rest of your life with, that you've committed every part of yourself to.
Oh, listen.
And then to say, well, it's Derek and everything we need, Derek needs, or you're out. And yes, there's families that have done that, moms that have done that, fathers that have done that for moms. Because let's be honest, I've seen stories where fathers have been extremely accepting and mothers have not. So it's also more of a personal belief, your community, your environment. But I have a more grace now for my mom. I used to have a lot of resentment for her in the moment because I was young. And there was a point when I say that me and my dad were at our absolute furthest in our relationship. And when I felt like I was starting at that age thinking that I was losing her too, I was like, that's when I feel the line started to really draw, where I started pulling myself out of that. But I just want to say, to give grace sometimes to that. As long as they come around is my point, right? As long as they find the path of love and understanding and truth for their child, give some grace in those moments, because I know that you were devastated in that moment. And I know that probably because you knew Dad, you knew eventually, probably a part of you said, I know he will. I know he's going to come around. I do, it wasn't just that one problem we were facing. There were so many, is the point.
I was raised in church, and I was raised that it starts with Christ, then the husband and father, then the wife, and then the children. And
that's how you were raised.
That's the way that it goes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I completely understand that you guys know me. You see me, the job that I do, I run crews of men. This is my life.
Yeah.
But in my heart of hearts, I still believe that. You need to find a husband that can be that leader of the family, as a father and everything else, and then Christ is above that. So that's ingrained in us to a certain extent. And I could see that would play into that too.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And what Derek didn't realize is there's other people in this house. It ain't just you, Derek. I mean, I was doing all the work. I was bringing in the money. I'm working 7 days a week. I'm coming home and working at night, and all I get is turmoil.
Yeah.
Derek controlled from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed, he controlled that house. Because he was not going to let there be peace in that house.
Now, we didn't at that moment in time, we didn't realize either, what was the core of him, other than we knew
there was trauma.
Yeah, we knew that.
And then,
other than that,
and also, like Dad said, and I'm not pointing Dad out, but I'm trying to get people, I want fathers out there like my dad to be understood a little bit better, because with Mom, it wasn't the same as it was with my dad. Because, when I said this at one time, I said, I had, and I do still have, but there was a moment I didn't. But before that, I had so much admiration, love, and my dad was my hero when I was a kid. And so in those moments, there was so much disconnect that we did a 360, right? And then jealousy set in with my brother. And then when they didn't know half of what was happening with that, taught from the trauma. And then my dad only knowing, look, it happens, you deal with it, you get over it. He wasn't trained or educated to know. His family didn't teach him that type of empathy.
I
And
was
that
the same way.
I know,
Yeah.
but that boys, and now he knows, he's seen. My son is an extremely confident, incredible man. He's sensitive, he's soft, he's different, but he's strong. And, so again, in that moment, I just think he saw it. I'm just saying, when he says words like, I was a terror, what I'm saying is he's trying.
In the moment.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
trying to explain, right? That, in the moment, absolutely.
I mean, there was times I pulled in the driveway, and I'm not a religious person. I prayed.
Yeah.
Oh God, please just let her 10 minutes tonight
Of peace
of peace.
in my home.
Because,
But it wouldn't happen.
because, like when he was at work and then I was dealing with everything.
Sure, and
all
you're probably
day
at the top
long.
of your.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I would-
constantly. That's where I said they would
Yeah.
fight, and then
Yeah.
we would be fighting.
and
Yeah.
It would be
Tried.
like, you're home,
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah.
Because she'd be like,
kinda-
well, you're here, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's like I spent 12 hours on the roof.
Yeah. And
I come home after 12 hours and
yeah,
and you're leaving, and I'm dealing with this.
Yeah.
because I knew that I had to leave.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Because I couldn't, I needed a mental, break. I mean,
There's only so much you
there was
can
Oh,
one time
yeah.
I remember, and I don't know if you two remember this, that they got into an argument and you guys were upstairs.
Was this shortly after I
like
came out the
Saturday.
first time or
You
after?
guys were upstairs
Okay.
and you guys got into an argument.
Who's you guys teaching?
Me and Dad.
Yeah, these two. And down the steps they came and they were fighting with each other. And that was the second time in my life that I lost my composure. And I just snapped. And I picked up a chair. And I don't know if you two remember.
You
I picked
tossed
up a
it.
chair and I threw it at the window.
Yeah.
And just like,
Yeah. Breaking point.
yeah, stop it. I can't do this anymore. And I left. I got in the van and I left. Minivan. I
Hmm.
hate minivans.
I know.
This was 12 to
But-
13.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's what I think. That's the memory that I have.
'Cause he
and,
would-
and
it
it
was
was
bad.
all, that.
When did I come
Right.
back home from Mars Home for Youth?
God, you
Was
were
I
a
14?
teenager.
I came out after I came home from Mars Home for Youth because my
You were-
experience happened at Mars Home for Youth.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were definitely. a
So the
teenager.
second time,
And-
there was repression encouraged.
Yeah,
with
and
the
that was the
family?
worst thing that we did. I mean, if I could tell parents one of the things that not do, don't repress your children. Don't dismiss what they're feeling.
Yeah,
Because it's their feelings.
but it took you a
and-
long time to get
Oh
to
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And even for you, right? What did you say when Nayeli was on here? When you said, even when you're not ready to accept it for yourself because your journey is different, loving your child unconditionally is what stops the pain from anything happening forward in that moment right there,
Yeah.
right? They know your child can
Well, I
understand.
didn't
They're more
understand it,
intelligent.
but I still love them.
Yes, but they're more
Oh, yeah, that never
intelligent.
wavered.
Yeah.
I'm just saying your children are more intelligent to know that love is really what they want. They can walk with the journey and help you learn, right? But it was then my parents didn't, there was no family on really either side for that dynamic.
No, it was-
And so, yeah, go ahead.
At that point, we had already lost my family. My family was going.
Yeah.
His family.
And what was there?
They were never.
I s- always distant myself.
Yeah.
Do you want me to catch us up to the second time? That was your
Yes.
question. So real quick, I'm going to catch them up too. Kind of went in 6 months. We're kind of a blur, just normal, crazy McCants household lifestyle stuff, right? And I then meet a girl named Amber, and I get in a relationship with a woman. Woman at the time, teen, sorry. And my grandmother was a teacher. She was a ballroom dancer and was a teacher for Arthur Murray and Fred Astaire. And I've always had a passion for the arts. And again, we go into that. was going to become a part of who I was. Now that I see myself growing up, I know Chris or not, I think I always was going to be in the arts. I do. Racing and thrill. I think I could have been a dancer and then went and raced on the dirt track, with my dad. That's how I knew I was destined to be that person, because I am now. But that was an entire fake relationship to appease every single human in my life but me, to the detriment that I hurt somebody else. I hurt Amber. That caused her so much rage that turned into the first time I got in trouble with the law, because I broke up with her. After a year. I told her I was gay, and she kept blowing up my phone. And so I answered. I was already in the relationship at this point. I was an adult. I was just about to turn 18, I think. I was 17.
You were in a relationship with
I was another boy. That was the one that I was meeting. Remember, he lived in Pittsburgh. And
Did your parents
with the yellow
know
car.
at this point?
No, they did not know.
Okay.
They didn't know any of that.
No, we were ecstatic
At
because
all.
he had a girlfriend.
Yes.
Sure.
Like, oh yeah.
So
see,
fast
we were right.
forward. Fast forward through that, I had tried intimacy with her, and I, because we're on a mere serious conversation, I got physically sick. Actually, on her physical presence, I was mortified. And then I literally psychologically, because of the guilt I felt for her in that moment, I tried it again that night and physically got ill a second time. That was it for me. It was shortly after the cruise.
Yeah.
And she was pressuring me because her mom was telling my parents we were going to get married. I mean, it was crazy. That was a whole nother story, Jen. But
I shouldn't.
I broke up. Now, at this point, I kind of went, I was still, my parents were still involved in my life, but school was starting to get really bad. I was still being teased, even though I thought that getting with Amber was going to help me a butler. But I was feminine. I was just different, and no girlfriend was going to make that school believe that I was straight either.
Oh, she was at
She was not at, she was at Seneca. So she wasn't even there for them to see that and interaction anyways. And she called and I said, oh my God, I could kill you. Like, you fucking bitch. Excuse my language. I just got to be real with how it was said. And that's lit. Like, out of anger, I was never in a way. And her mom and her called the police, and I was hit with domestic terroristic threats, and I got a year of probation. It was my first time getting trouble.
Illegal
and
stuff.
For me, I still to this day, and we are now okay. We've talked it out. We're not friends, but she reaches out to me. I wish her and her family the best. We were young at the time, and she's apologized herself because she knows now what that did to me. But I was literally punished. And again, what they didn't understand in that moment, people are thinking, Derek, see, you get yourself in these problems. And I'm thinking, I did nothing wrong here. I just told somebody that was harassing me to leave me alone, and now I'm being punished. What is happening here? And you get to a point where you go through a phase where you just don't care. So leading into me coming out, and I say don't care because in that moment I was so angry. Okay. My parents did not. So when I explain kick out, my parents didn't kick me out, and I've told them this. At the time, they wouldn't have seen it that way. I know my mom sees it now. I felt so trapped, and I felt so like you can't have guy friends. Oh, or the opposite. My parents never let girls in the room. But at one point, my mom said, you know what? You can close the door, though, if you want a girl over. My dad told me too, and I'm thinking, wait a second. It's not. Because for them, they wanted so desperately to be able to prove that I was not gay, right? And so it got so bad, and I felt so just in that isolated space with the rules that it wasn't healthy for me, right?
We had the rules.
Yes, and it was not healthy for me at all because the rules were guided around, and this is not to blame them, because in that mind, they thought that I truly believe my parents thought they were helping me now. Looking back. But in that moment, they didn't realize what they were really doing without realizing is they were doing everything they could to deter the inevitable, no matter what.
Because it was a phase.
How do you look at it?
He had no respect for rules, period. If you told him there's $20 in my wallet. Don't take it because I need it for gas. Guarantee you take it.
Oh yeah.
He had
During that
no
time,
respect for the
absolutely.
rules.
I
So
didn't.
how it was with me, because I'm black and white. Like she says, he did this. Did you ask him why? I don't care why.
Yeah.
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
I was raised that, that was the rule. You broke it. I don't care why you broke it.
Uh-huh.
But you could not control him at all. I mean, it was mayhem.
But
From the
now,
time he got out of bed to the time he went to bed.
hearing a lot of stuff that you guys didn't know, do you have more understanding now, though?
Oh, you do.
Of
As you get older, you understand.
No, I'm saying even the things with TJ, other things that were happening then, that mom and dad genuinely. The point was, I'm not saying that I wasn't a terror. I'm not saying that I was not almost impossible. I admit that. I've been very vocal about that. And most people that you talk, families that have endured this, the stories are very much similar. But if it would have been different, if the situation would have been different, there would have been a different type of ability of communication. I wouldn't have had the same behavior issues that I did.
Sure.
My parents would have had more pieces of the puzzle in those moments, because what they didn't realize, why is Derek coming home terrorizing? Trauma or not, he doesn't have that hard of a life. When they didn't realize the school issues. They didn't really know any of that. They didn't know the TJ. So there was just so many pieces that for my dad, he's already black and white. Now people know me. I live in a gray emotional area. That's my character, who I am. There was just so many factors again. So I ended up leaving the home. My senior year of high school, I was in an apartment. And my life started, we don't have enough time to go into every detail, but bad people were feeding themselves into my life, not because they were gay, not because this or straight or this or that. They're just as people. Sure. They saw somebody struggling that was sweet and kind, and they took advantage of it. So I started dating a guy who lived in Lawrenceville at the time. And
were you guys aware that he was dating a man at this point?
Well, what had happened is that because of the roles and our roles that we inferred on him, that fast forward, they were unrealistic on our part.
Yeah.
We should not have did that to him, which goes back to not making your child repress who they are.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he moved out. Actually, it was the day after he was 18. I remember it because he didn't want to follow the rules. So he knew whenever he turned 18 that he could move out, which he didn't. He moved downtown Butler. And the girl that you were living with, and I even forget what her name was now.
Cassie.
Cassandra.
Yes, thank you. I had to think for a minute because she was weird too. I'm sorry, guys. She was just weird. Okay. Yeah, I did for a while. Okay.
Anyways, but I was in touch with her and I knew what he was doing. Now I say knew, I wasn't like, tell me when he's going to the bathroom, but I was able to know how he was with her, and she was filling me in. So I did learn that he had a boyfriend or dating somebody that was in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
But I was still in contact with you at that point. And he was telling me one of my biggest fears, the mom, is that at that point, are you going to finish school? You got to graduate. You got to finish because, your life is going to be hard enough because you're gay and people don't accept that. People are going to beat you up. And that was another fear too, that we had that as him, I knew whenever he went out into society, I couldn't protect him. I couldn't.
I thought the same thing when Naili was going through.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I said to mom,
that he was going to be a victim of just nastiness.
When looking back,
can't stop it.
Yeah. When looking back, and this was hard for my mom to hear, and it wasn't again. In the moment for me, I left my home because I didn't feel safe there either. So I didn't really have a place. And it's not because I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel my dad was going to hurt me. I didn't feel my mom was going to hurt me. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel I belonged,
Yeah. But
are we okay, girl, over there?
To your question.
Okay. Just wanted to shout it out.
I found out.
Battery left.
I found out
Okay.
by the school and receiving a letter
Plug it in.
because he didn't change his address,
Okay.
that he had missed 15 days of school. Well, at that point, it was like, oh, you've been lying to me because I've been asking him, are you going to school? Yeah, I'm going to school. And so it was like, you lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you not going to school? And then he told
Well,
me.
that's why
And it goes back
how
to
I
where
got
he didn't feel safe.
bashed. Yeah,
Where he didn't feel safe, because had he would have came to us.
Sure.
And he did not. So
I got
whenever
jumped and I told you
said,
the story
why
about
are you not going to school? Then he said, because I got jumped on a catwalk. And a catwalk is a sidewalk you walk down from the high school Butler down to downtown, basically. And there was an after-school program for kids that couldn't handle being in school during the day.
Mm-hmm.
So they set up a special program. He was in cosmetology, which at that point it was like, oh, that's where his passion is, but he was jumped and he ended up snot being out of him by 3 kids that went to that part program.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't tell us until we got that letter, and then I confronted him about it. So we left and we went to the high school. Here's another thing that I hope and pray that
has changed.
God has changed this. So we went to the school and we talked to the assistant principal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Schnorr.
Yeah. And which
ironically is my brother's wife's family.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And well, he listened to us. He
That's what you want to call
afforded
it.
us an ear, which was half-assed, basically.
Now I was put in the hospital over this too, because they also didn't realize that I was in the hospital. Because by the time I had already been done and healed, it had been several weeks.
Because he didn't say anything. So anyway, Shore said, "Okay, here's your yearbook. Can you pick out the kids?"
And I sure did.
Went right to them, and we believed him. I mean, at that point, it wasn't anything that like, oh, you're lying to us.
Yeah.
No, we believed him. And he picked out those kids like nothing. And then we went down to a parking area where there's a bowling alley.
I was in Dad's white truck.
Yeah.
When we did that.
A bowling alley that
with the principal.
Yep, with the principal.
And that the kids they would pay, what was it, $1 or $2 a day to this guy that owned
to park in the bowling alley below the high school.
And so went down there and Derek picked them up there.
And they matched the individuals that were in the thing.
And you know what he said to her? Well, they said they didn't do it. It's Derek's word.
And that was it. They could have killed me that day. And that was it.
Are you kidding me? So that's another lesson, to, if that would happen, go above them.
Yeah.
That was the vice principal. Go to the principal. Go to the superintendent. Go to the school board.
But those are also true moments, and you said this in the first episode. Those are true moments, again, why victims don't come out.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The same way when victims, that people that come out and lie about being victims, this causes just as much harm, because now what did that tell me? Well, I just got to fend for myself then.
And it was okay. And regardless of us and, him, the way he is, he was ready to throw down, and because he has this, regardless of the issues we've had with him, he has always will put himself in a line of fire and fight.
Yes. And I even said that even when we weren't talking. Absolutely.
It was like he will beat somebody's ass, protect him.
Okay.
And
it's true. To this day, I would call, if I called him, there would be no doubt. I wouldn't even flinch to know.
Even whenever we had that turmoil, whenever he was absent in our lives, remember the kid that was in, is it Verona? The kid that hit you in the head.
Yes.
Yeah, I went looking for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a good close relationship with him.
But then.
And then we found out, and he found out, and he's like, "Let's go." And if he would have got a hold of that kid,
so
he would have beaten
your
him silly.
Unconditional love for Derek is very evident
for both of them too.
Yes.
I mean, we talk as a mother, but I feel in general, me and you have said this, even you, as much as you, and actually it is funny because you and my dad are a lot like
You're very-
personality, but there still is a different part of you even being conservative like that as a mother, right? So it's, I just like to say, because people always say, oh, well, Gail, or we've had past conversations with family, well, Billy, you were too rough, or you were too this or that. But the reality is there are experiences in this where there's a hate that comes behind the father to their son. Pure hate, right? I didn't ever feel that with my dad, right? I just didn't understand that we had to take a journey separately, and eventually we'd come back together and learn grace and love, that we finally gave each other that opportunity
And
to do
another thing
that.
that Derek didn't take into consideration is that I had to protect 2 other kids.
Sure.
I just didn't have him to worry about his feelings
Yeah.
and what's going on with Derek. I have 2 other children, you know, and like I said, I adopted him and his brother. So here I'm a guy that's used to just being wild and free.
Yeah.
Now I got all this on my plate. I started my own company. I'm working 6, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Then you come home and all it is terror.
Yeah.
And it
So
was with everybody. I
So
mean, it
you
was.
were aware at that point then that Derek was gay.
Yeah.
Right.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Your
for sure.
relationship became very strained,
Yeah.
obviously. How many years did that go on?
So I'll kind of off and on, but the longest stint was actually when I was younger. And that was when I came out the second time. I moved down, was dating a guy named Jeff. And they had convinced me that my parents, and genuinely, my
Who's
mom,
they?
so Jeff's what you would call like an adopted mom. Do you know how like
Okay.
Coco
His
is to me?
family.
Yes,
family.
like his adopted family. He didn't really, he came from a bad place, blah, blah, blah. Well, they proceeded to convince me to bring them all down to my parents' house and strut into their home to show them what real love looks like. Now, we've had this conversation. I don't feel bad for what I did because I was lost in my life at the moment, and they were giving me in the moment, whether it was fake or not, what I needed, right? When I wasn't
You
getting
felt
from my
love
parents.
and
And
acceptance.
yes. So if that's what love looks like, and this is what love doesn't look like, well, yeah, teach them a lesson. And I can admit that I was angry and I was hurt, and I wanted my parents to feel uncomfortable the way I was feeling uncomfortable. So,
it worked.
and it did,
It did,
because
it worked.
I'm sure.
we get there. This mother comes in. There's another one that mom actually ended up liking him. Remember the one that came in with the flip flops and the belly shirt? So we had a guy that came in tall platform, flip flops and half shirt, belly shirt. Moving fast forward, they lost their ever loving minds, because not only were they dealing with their gay son at this point, they are now dealing with drag queens, a mother who's telling another mother and another father, you're absolutely disgusting and horrible human beings,
In my house.
in her house. And then while they're doing that, they're taking my stuff out of my parents' house and putting it in their car.
No, there was a friend of ours from church that.
Oh yeah, which they didn't help. They didn't make it better for y'all.
But John is the most genuine human being
Yes, he is.
that I've ever met. And
Still
John
would
was
be.
like, you people are out of your minds. And it looked like that's the impression I got from them. They were pimping him out.
Yep. That's exactly. You felt
Yeah.
like he was like she was a madam.
And to a point, they kind of were. I was a toy for Jeffrey for a couple months. So fast forward even more. I know we got so much. Fast forward even more. My parents, after that day, that was when the first time we had full silence.
Yeah.
There was no communication. There was no communication for almost a year. At that point, it was about 10 months, because this happened. No, this happened in spring, early spring, and they didn't see me till Thanksgiving. And they got a phone call from the hospital that I was really sick. And it was the first time that mom and dad found out that I was living on the streets in Pittsburgh. And they said, we're calling you because you're his emergency. I had never changed the emergency contact.
Sure.
So that was the first time that I had been back home too. And mom and dad at that point, I think it's those moments you have as a parent where everything melts away. Whether he's angry with me or
becomes really
we need to bring our son home, right? And It was the first time that for those 2 days we really enjoyed each other's time. There was sensitivity around it, and they got me some winter coats and stuff like that because I think, you know why I think that she bought that winter coat for me? Because I think when they came to me that day and said, me and your dad talked, we want you to move back in, but you know that there's the rules. I think she knew that I was going to turn it down. And I think that's why she bought me those winter clothes. Because I think deep down in her heart, I think she already knew my son's not going to accept anything but us accepting him. And I was willing to walk through
accepting
that.
it. It was, no, you're no different than the other two. Why do they have rules, but you don't?
Well, because the rules, Dad, like we said, the rules were specifically geared around me being gay.
I don't think so.
And that's
he wasn't
what.
allowed to have a boy in the house.
No, because that's not healthy for his sister.
But we.
I mean, I don't know this guy.
But now, I don't think if Jude came up and been gay, I think you would have handled that situation completely differently now.
Yeah.
I really do.
But
Because you don't see it as
but you
something
always-
toxic.
See, to me, it's always that you want to play the victim. You were mean to me because I was molested. I was mean to you because you did not want to follow the rules of the family. It wasn't just because you're gay. You would take money from people. You would aggravate your sister on purpose. It's like, no, you have to have rules too, Derek.
But
it was geared and stemmed from.
But here's a perfect example of this, so that way we can move on from this. At one point, I moved in with my grandmother. Okay, I still had a relationship with mom and dad, but we thought that was the best thing to do at the time. She was also having issues going through that horrible divorce, and me being there would created safety. I was doing good in school, if you remember. I was on track. I was really calm. And again, this isn't a reflection on you guys, but it's my what did I say to you? If my grandmother ever had an issue with me being gay, I never knew it because we never talked about it. I had guys in her home. In fact, boys that stayed there. Remember, I had a guy I dated for a short time that lived in the basement with her. Because that's just who my grandma was, which was shocking, to be honest, because she was very conservative and older. And again, I've learned back then we placed blame on one another. I did this because Derek did this. My parents did this because they didn't see me this way, or they didn't do it this way. When now I've grown up, that I no longer see blame, but I just see that the time, the environment, it was a perfect storm for families back then to have no clue. And it wasn't just one issue. It was several that they knew and then several more that they didn't know until later on. There was no way for us to get through that without it being chaos. That I look back and there was no other way I could have walked it or my parents could have walked it in the environment that we were in at the time. And that's what I see. You know what I mean?
So there's
with that.
all this tumultuous time between you guys.
Yes.
Okay. How the heck did you get past that to where you are now? I mean, because it's...
Can I actually answer this? Because they were actually ready before me. And I've actually never really talked about this. So I went so long trying to get them to that level with me that when they were... And let me step back. The first genuine conversation we had when my parents started turning, because I want to get to that half now, the turning point. Finding moment, I feel, for me and my parents' change, moving towards the positive part of our family, was I came home. It was shortly after everything had gone on. I was finally got myself situated in Pittsburgh. And I had come home and my mom was crying just about my lifestyle, the situation. And she said, it was the last time you've ever used the word choice.
Yep.
Because she said, I just don't understand
Yep.
why you're choosing this, why you're choosing to put your family through this, why you're choosing to put yourself through this. And I looked at her and I started bawling. And I said, Mom, what person? And no, actually, I said, I'm sorry. I got angry at first. And I said, you don't think I don't want to be straight? And she said, huh? I said, I do. It's much better. Do you think I choose to wake up in the morning and be ridiculed, picked on, bullied, spit on, attacked, treated that way by my family? That was the first time that I told her about TJ. And again, we weren't
Yeah.
quite there yet about that, but I said, no human being would ever consciously wake up every day and choose this, to feel this pain and feel this hurt, to not be seen and not seen. That has nothing to do with behavior problems, right? At that point, that is a whole separate entity. If I choose to do something wrong, the consequence are the consequences. But my pain was rooted in feeling so unseen for so long over things that weren't even about the behavior problems. And that was it. I think that was, and we agreed that was really a
Yeah.
defining moment. And from that,
Yeah.
that's when mom had the conversation pretty much with dad and said,
What are we doing?
we figure this out or we're going to lose him.
Yeah, what
We're
are
going to
we
lose him
doing?
one way or another. Either we're going to lose him in our life or we're going to lose him here. And that was it. Now, I continued to have a journey and struggles in my life, but that was the moment where my parents started coming around. Matt Landy was the real first one. He had a
Yeah.
drinking problem, but he
Remember
was a
Matthew?
great, he's the one that
Yeah.
carried the bottle of Vladimir vodka around in his bag all the time,
Yeah.
but a good
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was the
he
first time mom and dad were able to see, okay, the things we're
Mhm.
hearing about gay people, he's a great college educated, good.
Yeah.
And they were walking through their path of learning and understanding what we've been told our whole life. They're not like weirdos and freaks. And my son's not a freak. He's not this, he's not that. But they had to walk in that. And that's where everything started blossoming. And I started slowly learning that our struggles after that were a little less about me being gay than it was about just my life journey and the things I still had to face. And my point in that is sometimes healing with families isn't always quick and abrupt. You know, it's like what's it they say, the turtle and the hare
Oh
that,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know, we took a little longer than some families. Some families came right out of the gate. But a lot of those families that came out of the gate just had to deal with their daughter or their son being gay. They didn't have to deal
All the
with
other
their
stuff.
son or their daughter being gay, traumatized, in and out of placement, growth, separation in the family, trauma,
Losing other
frustration,
family
anger,
members.
losing other
Yeah.
family members, your parents feeling that they can't do anymore, guilt, and then anger because they feel guilt. Just not every family has all that. And that's just why I want to say grace. There are some parents out there that should be ashamed of themselves.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You know, that are losing your child because they take their life because you told them they were worth less than, and then when they die, you then care. Well, what's the point now?
Mhm.
They're
And-
gone.
and-
You're not a victim now, or you can't become the victim because you now feel bad. I give grace. I say to give grace to those because there's people like my family that it wasn't as simple as one problem. There was a tornado of problems that
Sure.
persisted, really didn't stop from the time I was 5 years old until almost 30,
Mhm.
you know? And so for me, that was my point, to answer your question, Jen, as far as that goes. And I feel that mom and dad, there was no specific big markers, just
Or was there?
slowly growth. There was markers like my dad. And many people know I did female impersonation. I am now retired. My father went from, I don't know who he had. We don't got to get the story, but my dad went from having somebody go down and search for me in these gay bars because he heard that I had long story short, it came out that somebody had told him that was performing in drag and I had used Savannah's name as my stage name.
Oh, I forgot. No,
Yeah.
I
And
forgot all about
arranged
that.
those two together. Here to come to
Yeah.
find out, that was never the truth. I never
Yeah.
used my sister's name.
Yeah.
He went from that to then 18 years, 19 years later, fast forward. I know it sounds like a long time, but he then sat front row at 2 shows showing support for his son, both of his sons. I can fairly say that I think, Dad, that he loves Boncel. I sometimes say he loves him more than me. I do, joking. But but he truly, he's sat in the front row seeing his son dressed in female impersonation. He's accepted. He's seen past that. He's taught himself. This is an art. I get it. Straight or not, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to be here and support my son. He walked me down the aisle. If you would have asked me at 15 years old, I would have said there's no way in hell that my dad would walk
Sure.
me down the aisle. I'm lucky if he'll be there for that. And he walked me with my mom. What many people that I know never got to experience that, never even got to have the blessing to have that relationship again. So I just, where I'm at is, yes, it didn't happen the easy way. The acceptance didn't come initially the way some people now would say, how could they have done that? Or how could it have happened that way? But you have to remember the time and the place and the fact
Oh,
that
I believe there's parents going through this
and
exactly the
now,
same
yes,
way
for same
right
reason.
now.
But I will also say
Absolutely.
not everybody comes out on top.
Well,
Sure.
Right?
the problem is, too, is everyone has their own beliefs and their own morals. I had struggles. I was physically abused. I mean, this wrist, scar on my eye, my chest bone. I had to live through that, and I never felt like, to me, it was always like Derek felt pity for himself. I never felt pity for myself. And my wife, when I first got with her, she'd be like, "Why didn't you hate him?"
His
Like,
his
Yeah, his dad.
and my theory was,
yeah.
it made me the belligerent little bastard that I am. Why? I don't hate him.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I struggled with this because Derek didn't understand my struggles.
Sure.
But he kept thinking, me. I'm like, yeah, the whole world is about you.
And it was, and him and I had had many conversations about he's not you. Not very many people are you.
Do you know my son said to
Yeah.
me, because we are that similar,
Yeah.
there's someone very dear in his life. And I remember having a conversation with him.
Perfect.
That individual suffers with depression and can't do this and can't do that. And I was like, that's not acceptable to me.
Yeah.
Well, they've been through bad things. Well, so have I, son.
Yeah.
And look at me. That was my response.
Yeah.
And his response to me was, Mom, not everybody's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, there's very few people that are you.
Yes.
And it stopped me in my,
In
it
your
gives me
tracks.
chills
Yeah.
thinking about it. It
Yeah.
stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, he's right.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it's funny that you
Yeah.
say that too, because I truly believe now where I'm at in my life, with everything we've talked about over these last 2 episodes today, I am in every way. I said this to you and Dad, and I was so proud. The one day, I think I think to both of you, and I said, whether you agree or not, I think I am the most successful child as far as growth, change, adaptation, acceptance, and going from everything I went through. And we've really just scratched the surface of some of the obstacles that I
Yeah.
just went through in my life. To be
Yeah.
where I'm at now, to
Yeah.
be where I'm at now is really justification that there really actually is no excuse for you not to survive and thrive, because I could have turned to drugs. I could have been,
Yeah.
at this point, I could
Never
have been life in prison at this point
Yeah.
with a Journey. But I made a conscious decision that I wanted to take back my life, and I had value and worth. And where I agree with Dad is I was so deep in pain. We were different because I had to take that path because that's who I was. And because of that, that's who I am now. But that's strength and will. Like when he says the pity, or at the time he felt that I was pity. The fact is, I have so much of him.
That's what I
in
was
me.
just going to say.
My survivor, my love, my dedication to break my body down to try and provide a future for my family. I may not have children, but my fur baby's my husband. All that came from my father.
Well, here's the thing.
You know?
You guys as a family have gone through so much.
Yeah.
But your ability to be who you are now and to have come through completely and utterly is credit to who your mom and dad are.
Yes. Yes.
Because they are the people that shaped you. Now, you went through all those struggles to become who you are
Yeah.
now. 100%.
And to
Thank you.
realize that sometimes what looks like giving up is not. You know, if you walked our family's journey, you would have a completely different perspective than you do with the conversation we're having now.
Right.
I mean, 15 years ago, me, mom, and dad couldn't even sit at a table. We couldn't have done 3 hours of this, let alone 5 minutes. We were so off each other's path, and which started because of one human. One
Sure.
human that created that, because
Yeah.
I'm not blame and I don't blame Chris for any choices I made in my life, and I've made that very clear to you guys. It was still the catalyst that
Sure.
created the start of the tornado. The storm
Yes.
just didn't go away for several years.
Yes.
And my point is to let people know that if you know somebody or you're thinking out there that this does not create harm, or you hear things like the Jeffrey Epstein files and you hear these women who were victimized, sexualized, these people deal with sometimes shorter sentences and less guilt than those people that were victims. They deal with things for the rest of their life. And this isn't a joking matter, and it's an extreme problem in our country.
Sure.
Horrible problem in our country. And there's a lot more families statistically that don't make it on top, and that in itself is something I'm so proud of when it comes to
Absolutely.
my family. And to say that I love and honor families out there that instantly love their children for who they are. But there's a different type of depth of admiration to parents and a family and their child that can come together after all of that pain, after all that hurt on all sides, love, joy, hurt, and still figure out how to not only come back together, but come back together stronger. It's
I
a beautiful
agree.
thing. And it can happen.
Yeah.
And that's my point.
You
This
just can't
can
quit.
happen.
Yeah.
Just know
And
that
I
have
think that's
faith.
the question I have for your mom and dad to kind of finish things off.
Yes.
Obviously, you're all incredibly lucky as a family to have come to where you are. But what would you say to other parents who are going through their son or daughter coming out? What would you say to them?
You wanna go
Don't
first?
lose yourself because you get so involved in what they're doing. Just forget who you are.
Yeah.
And you need help. Don't think that you could do it without help.
Look for help.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
would
don't be
s-
ashamed of it, right, Dad? Especially
Yeah.
would you
Yeah.
say as a man, what about like to dads like you? People that are like you, come from like you, would you say that don't be ashamed of it though?
I don't know if it's a shame. I don't know if it's shame because you got to understand. It's like all my life, if you told me that was green, I would believe without any kind of reserve that's green because that's what you told me. So all my life I was told this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you're telling me that's not green anymore, that's blue. Well, I have to assess this
Sure.
and understand, wait a second. They tell me it's green. This dude's telling me it's blue. And that's the thing that you don't understand about a lot of people who've been through struggles is that you have to understand the struggle. And I struggled with, I was told no. He's
Yeah.
telling me yes. I was told no. He's telling me yes. Well, that's
Yeah.
hard to figure out.
So maybe give yourself grace because it's
Yeah.
going to take time
Mhm.
Yeah,
to.
like what I said,
And
you need to
yeah.
go and find people that understand.
Yeah.
I had no one I could go talk
Yeah.
to. I mean, I couldn't go talk to anybody I know. I mean, they're all chewing the back and drinking wild turkey. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
Listen, I had the same. I had nobody to
Yeah.
talk
Okay.
to when I
Yeah.
was going through.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there was no frame of reference for the
Yeah.
people I surrounded myself with, or my
Yeah.
family members.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
And that's why I
what do
keep
you
saying environment.
do?
It's not an excuse. And because now we live in a time with social media and everybody wants to attack everybody, and that's a choice and that's it. But it's easy to say that, but it is so different living in that experience
sure.
because your environment is everything about who you are.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's
Absolutely.
very much
Yeah.
the truth. It's not an excuse,
Yeah.
it's just the fact.
Mm.
That's how people are engraved into who
Yeah.
they become.
I tell young
It's
kids at work all the time, it's the biggest thing you can do at your age is to leave here. And they're like,
Go and see the world.
Yeah.
I'm like, you grew up at the same place your grandfather's grandfather, and everyone's grown up and we're in this bubble.
Go explore, learn.
You have no idea there's another world out there.
Yeah.
Like the N-word. When I first went to Texas, I didn't know you didn't call them that. That was all I ever knew.
It's all about experience.
And so you need to get out of
And
that
now
bubble,
you
and
would beat somebody up for calling
yeah, I would.
Boncel something
yeah.
like
But
that
that's
because
the
it's
problem is you
it's
Yeah.
lived in
different.
this bubble.
Yeah.
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 My work ethic. You get up. We milk to 3:00 in the morning. You get up at 2:30. You milk and you work until 10:00 at night. That's what I'm taught. That's what I'm told.
Yeah.
Then you tell me that, oh, I'm only going to work 8 hours and that's just too much for me. Well, listen, prissy little boy,
Yeah.
and it's hard to change that because all your life that was green.
Yeah.
That's what you know.
So would you say it's fair for dads out there like you that you would say definitely accept your child in their moment, but give yourself grace and
And
time to
time.
know that it's okay that your journey may take a little while to get there, but you can still love?
I think what you need to do is
Mhm.
question it, but go find answers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't just say, okay, I question that and I don't believe that's blue, but I'm going to go find out for real.
Yeah.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do
Absolutely.
too.
Mom?
And I would say that as going through what we went through is that I would never tell any parent to turn their back on their child. Because even though, when I say turn their back on the child, that whenever you left and I didn't have eyes on you, I didn't have
It was a
ears,
whole
I
different
didn't
ball
have
game.
anything, I was scared to death constantly because I didn't know where you were. What were you doing? Are you dead? Are you alive? Did he get the snot beat out of him? Who's protecting him? And during that path, it's like, what is wrong with me? Because it's like, I shouldn't have turned my back. I shouldn't have let you walk away because you're mine, you know? I mean, even then, I would have given my life to protect you from anything, any harm, you know? So I would say that, especially as a mother, that we just have that maternal built
Mhm.
into us. That now, again, it was 30 years ago that
Yeah.
that all of this started. 35 years ago that it all started. But to not turn your back on them, I talk to them. You don't have to agree with everything they're doing, and you can still say how you feel,
Yes.
but be there, be present,
Yeah.
because we were lucky that you didn't kill yourself, that, and I know that there have been many times in your life, especially into your adulthood. That was more whenever you were younger, I never sensed that,
Yeah.
but when you became older and everything that you went through, that we're lucky that you didn't kill yourself, that you didn't turn to drugs or alcohol, that you were.
I know. Isn't that crazy that I never did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
We
don't
no,
play
'cause
to me.
What do you
he's so tired. No, you're fine. Yeah, but no, I completely and I go ahead, Mom. Finish.
yeah, just don't walk away from them.
And it's really
Be
that
there.
easy. I mean, it really, really is. I know the journey is hard. And then, are you do anything else you wanted to
No,
say about that?
I
Okay.
don't think so.
And then, lastly, for me, and then you can wrap it up, Jen, if you want. Two things for kids out there that are younger right now, and with the social media right now, I don't even know how to add that into the equation if that would have been around when I was a
Mm.
kid. Um, but please, please give your parents grace. As long as you know deep down that there's love there, as long as you know deep down that, no matter how apart we were, I knew as much as moments where I even thought I hated my dad, right? I deep down knew if there was life or death
Mhm.
and I picked up that phone call, I think that was the connection that was always still there. That was probably
Mhm.
what eventually kept it alive for our
Sure.
family because of how I was a girl, but that's also why I survived everything. I think you say about drugs. I don't think I got on drugs. I don't think that I got on alcohol. I don't think I grew up to harm people. And instead, am an incredible person in my community. I'm a proud and great husband, I'm a great son, I'm a great business owner, great friend.
Mhm.
That all came from my parents,
Yes,
right? And
I
that's
can
my
see
point
that.
about this
Mhm.
is remember that your parents are humans too. And listen, they will screw up and they will screw up majorly just like you will as children.
Yeah.
But that means that they're human. God created us that way. We are intended. He literally, Jesus died for us because
We were
so we could
imperfect.
make mistakes and know
Yes.
because they knew God knew we weren't going to be perfect. And that's where I feel that what rejuvenates in the grace for your parents is knowing, do your parents love you? If they love you, the grace is earned and deserved there. And for parents, for kids that are struggling, even if it's not to the extent too, grace needs to be extended there because
Mhm.
we are living at a time when this happened, we were living at a time that made it
Yeah.
hard for us because of
Oh,
those
for
tools.
sure.
Now there's
Yeah.
tools that have made it almost
Mhm.
impossible for families to
Yeah.
stay together through these. Just remember, uh, our podcast was built on America and Americans and citizens and what we go through. And remember how important this is. And that is the foundation of this country is family,
Mhm.
loyalty, love, dedication, hard work. That's what our family is
Mhm.
really about, who we are. Real life
Yeah.
struggles, real life issues, ups and downs, but overall,
Mhm.
proud moments, success stories, joys. And
Mhm.
yeah, and for that, just give time, give grace, love, understanding, and
Mhm.
time. And that's all I could
And
say.
seek out support
Yes.
if you need, like.
Okay.
I can't thank you guys enough for joining us for both of these episodes. I do
Yes.
hope that our listeners find them helpful, and I definitely think that they will, for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
I want to thank all of you for joining us again. This has been Both Sides of the Fence with Jen, and of course,
And
my
I'm
co-host
Derek, your other co-host. And thank you again, Mom and Dad, for joining us. This was
Thank you.
incredible.
Thanks
I
for
hope you
having
guys enjoyed it
us.
as much as I did. And
Yeah,
until next
for
time,
sure.
love one another, take care of each other, and together we can do this. Love you guys.
Talk to you
Bye.
soon. Bye.
Where's my cash?
Bye.
Okay. Keep that in. Keep that in there.